All right, let's jump right in. When we think about research, we usually picture something external, right? Looking through a microscope at cells or a telescope at stars or studying other cultures. But what if a researcher turns that lens around and points it at themselves? What if they study their own life to figure out how the world works? Well, there's a name for that, and it's called autoethnography.
I mean, that's a pretty wild question, right? It totally flips the script on how we think about knowledge. Instead of trying to erase yourself from the picture, this whole approach asks, hey, what if you are the picture? What if your own experiences are the most valuable data you could possibly have? And this quote gets right to the heart of the problem that autoethnography tries to solve. For so long, traditional research has pushed for this idea of the disembodied researcher. This person who's supposed to be totally neutral, objective, rational, like a robot who can just turn off their feelings. But is that even possible? As Torelli and their team point out, can anyone ever be truly neutral? Can you really just switch off your own life experiences? This little chart here just lays out the shift perfectly. So in traditional research, the gold standard is objectivity. But with autoethnography, you're actually blending the subjective, your personal experience, with the objective. And the goal? It's not just about explaining things from a distance. It's about deeply understanding them. The researcher isn't some detached observer anymore. They're right there, in it. And maybe the biggest change of all is that the focus moves from studying some abstract other to having the courage to study the self.
Okay, so let's get down to it. What exactly is autoethnography? I love this because the word itself breaks it all down for you. You've got auto, which means self, ethno, which is all about culture, and graphy, which means writing. So you put it all together, and what do you get? A research method where you use your own personal experience, your auto, to describe and critique cultural beliefs, the ethno, all through your personal writing, the graphy. You're literally the researcher, the subject, and the writer all rolled into one. This quote from St. Augustine, which Dr. Jonathan Lake highlights in his work, just nails it. We travel all over to see mountains and oceans, we look outward in wonder, but so often, we just walk right past ourselves without a second glance. And that's really the core of this whole thing, turning that sense of wonder inward. Now, it's super important to get this. This is not just writing in a diary. Not at all. It's a serious academic method, and it actually exists on a spectrum. So on one end, you have what's called evocative autoethnography. This is all about emotional impact, making the reader feel a certain reality through powerful personal stories. Think of a really moving memoir. Then on the other end, you've got analytic autoethnography. This is more about using your personal experience to connect with and maybe even challenge big academic theories. Both are totally valid approaches, and both require some serious, deep self-reflection. Okay, so this gets us to the real core of this method, which is all about vulnerability. But it's not just vulnerability for its own sake, it's vulnerability with a purpose. Think about it. A lot of the time, what pushes someone to do this kind of research is, well, discomfort. That feeling of not quite fitting in or seeing something that feels wrong or unfair. And instead of just ignoring that feeling, researchers like Torelli say, no, let's lean into it. That discomfort actually becomes, as they put it, a powerful driving force for change. It's the engine that powers the whole investigation. And that really is the key takeaway here. The goal is to embrace vulnerability with purpose. It's not just about airing your dirty laundry in public, right? It's a strategic choice. You're using your personal story to shine a light on a bigger social issue, to make a connection with other people, and hopefully to spark some kind of change. All right, so this all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like? Let's make it concrete. We're going to look at 3 different researchers and their own journeys of discovery. First up, Dr. Jonathan Lake. Get this, he finished his entire PhD, but something just wasn't sitting right. He was feeling totally disconnected from his own work. And then, during a practice defense, someone asked him a simple question. Was there enough of you in this thesis? And that question just sent him down a rabbit hole. He went to a conference, discovered this field called autoethnography, and had a huge aha moment. He realized that's what he'd been trying to do all along. Okay, now for a totally different and really creative take on this. This here is the title page from Dr. Danielle Hall's thesis. So what did she do? Instead of writing directly about her own life, she created a fictional character named Miss Kenny. Now, Miss Kenny is a teacher based on Dr. Hall's own experiences in the classroom. And by telling Miss Kenny's story, she was able to explore and critique all the daily struggles and pressures of the modern education system. It's such a cool way to blend personal truth with storytelling to make a bigger point. And for our third example, we have Dr. Fabiana Torelli. She was an experienced karateka, a karate practitioner, but she always had this feeling of not quite belonging. She called them queer feelings, and she meant queer in the sense of being different, an outsider on the inside. So what did she do? She took that feeling of discomfort and turned it into her research compass. It guided her entire study into the experiences of other elite female karate athletes. Her personal feeling wasn't some bias to get rid of, it was the very thing that made her research so powerful.
So there you have it, 3 really different researchers, 3 different stories. But they all lead to the same powerful idea, that our personal stories can be a bridge from understanding ourselves to understanding society as a whole.
And that really gets us to the ultimate goal, especially for what's called critical autoethnography. It's not just about self-discovery. It's about using that personal lens to look at the world, to uncover power structures that might be oppressive, and to challenge the way things are. It's about connecting our personal struggles to bigger systems and hopefully blending that new understanding with real action. So let's just bust a common myth right now. This is not self-indulgence, not when it's done right. When it's done with purpose and rigor, it's a seriously powerful way to do research. It takes your personal experience and treats it as what it is, crucial data that helps us understand the messy, complicated, beautiful world we all live in. And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on. To truly understand the world out there, do we first have to find the courage to really, truly understand ourselves?